We are going live now with the Everyday Guy podcast. How you feel? How you feel? I'm in a tank top, motherfucker, and it's April. It's April 15th, 2020. It's about 9 o'clock in the night. I got my nice little setup right here. I got these drapes right here for $2 from some dude on OfferUp. Um, this is my dining table, and I just put my Mexican blanket over it. And then I got my computers, my main laptop, my Apple. The Apple I love to do for like editing pictures and editing videos. I have this computer set up right here so I can stream to Apple Podcasts and any type of just audio. And then of course I have the mic set up for the for the goddamn YouTube video that I'm making. Yeah, Jesus. I've been watching videos like all day long. It's been crazy. Um, but everything's been going all right for me. This is episode 10. We hit double digits. For those of you that have been following me, that's amazing. I'm so fucking proud of just myself for being able to get this far, and and I still have passion. Like I'm growing. I love it. It looks like a studio in here. Um, I'm gonna get better lighting. I'll get more guests. Things are gonna change, and and I'm super pumped. I got my stimulus check today though. Trip that shit out. I got my fucking stimulus check. $1,700. I got two kids, but I'm divorced, so me and my ex-wife we split a child. When we do our taxes, and it seems to work out for us. For some couples, I'm not sure how they do it, but you basically for the stimulus refund you get a $1,200 stimulus check, and then for each child under 17 or 18, I believe, you get a $500 like additional credit. So I got 1,700, dude. Super pumped. Found this dude on OfferUp, gave him $12 for all these drapes, and I'm using tension rods, so I don't even have to drill into the wall. It's fucking sick, dude. I'm super stoked, and all this shit has cost me like $20. I think the most expensive thing I've gotten is that the light that's holding the phone and shit is like $15 at most. I think I spent $40, dude, and I feel like I'm doing it right here. I hope the sound's not too loud, and it's dope because I can just smoke in here, smoke cigs, and my guests can be out here. They can smoke if they want to. They can have a drink if they want to. We could just talk. Like I'm so stoked to have my next guest on, and I don't have anybody on for this show, but I think when I do my Saturday recording, or possibly a Friday night recording, I think I'm gonna do it with my girls. My daughters are gonna be my next guests on here, and I'm gonna try to get all the mics set up for them. Man, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I hope we're able to do that. Me and my two girls. I got two daughters. I got a 4-year old and a 9-year old, and they are 5 years apart. And it's funny because when we are going, I'm currently in therapy. I'm in therapy like twice a week most of the time. But I where is it going? Oh, in therapy, I found that um, children that are 5 years or more apart are considered they're being raised as like only children, and it's a trip because I truly believe that. My Although my daughter, my 4-year old, Gabs, she she has two younger siblings that are she's 4 now. Her sister's 2 and her brother's 1. So she really got not, I wouldn't say pushed to the side at all, but she adapted quickly. So like Gabs is just, I noticed she has more maturity to the way she holds herself. She's a total goofball. Um, she likes to get under Audrey's skin, which is her big sister. Um, yeah, I could talk about them all day long. They 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 pick on each other. They have just totally different characteristics that I admire and I love, and they they find interest and fun in the same things I do too. They love being outdoors. They love it, just being dirty and in the grass. That shit is fucking dope. Cause I grew up on my neighborhood, man, on my neighborhood in Parkinson, like the disease and shit. Parkinson. Parkinson was a fucking dope ass street, dude. So there were two dudes on there that were the oldest. They were probably like 17, nah, like 18, 17, and then we were like 14, and they were like two of them brothers that were like 17, 18, and then me, this other guy, JB, we were like 14, 15, and we all just grew up on the same street. It was about 2, 4, 6, 8, like nearly 10 kids, all within a 3 year age group, and it was fucking dope. We all grew up together on the same street. We were outside constantly. I never got into video games. A couple of my friends did, but I never went for video games. That shit was just not my deal. I only went for like sometimes. I mean, I'd play like the basic games like Mario Brothers and shit, like Nintendo. PS4. I had a PS3, I think. I don't know. I had a PlayStation. I know that at some point. I used to like to play Crash Bandicoot. Boomlaka. I remember that shit. Boomlaka. I don't know if Crash Bandicoot's still around. That's a fucking dope ass game, dog. All the Mario Brothers stupid shit. The fucking the Mario Kart. I had that on my phone, dude. That's a dope game. But we didn't get into video games. If anything, we always had like a central hub. One of my friends used to. We'd always hang out in the garage. We were in there like, dude. We were in the summertime when we were with like in school and shit. Dude, we were in there in the garage probably from like 10 a.m. to maybe like 9 p.m. Like almost 12 hours, dude, every day. And on the weekends, even longer. And sometimes my parents would be fucking drinking, or not just drinking like alone and shit. They would be like having my aunts and uncles over, and they'd play like board games and shit, and they'd all drink and have a good time. And they'd get liquored up, so I'd stay outside all fucking night and shit, and come in with mosquito bites and fucking itching from the grass and shit. Um, I was outside every day, dude, every day, and I love it. I love that my daughters have the same thing. Um, one thing me and the guys on the same street all did is like we went through different sports, like just all kinds of if a scooter when scooters came out, we're stoked. We all had to have scooters. We went through a whole scooter phase. Fucking rollerblades were hot. We were rollerblading like a motherfucker, dude. We'd set up a rail in my buddy's front yard. He had like a little hill in his front yard. We'd set up a rail there. And I remember you can walk on the grass because I couldn't fucking. I was a horrible fucking skateboarder. I was a horrible fucking rollerblader. I used to like to mountain bike. That was like the most, I don't know, fucking okay thing that I was good at. Until 2018, I had a bad accident that I'm going to talk about today. Because it came up with my daughters. But, so I wasn't good at like skateboarding or rollerblading or anything like that, which was fine. But I really wanted to, I really just wanted to be a part of the team. Everybody, whatever we were all into. And then we went from like scooters to rollerblades to fucking skateboards to bikes. We were really into BMX, and we used to go ride First Avenue in Whittier. First Ave was fucking tight, dude, until they put up those big black fucking prison gates in there. Looks all depressing as shit. I blew out my tailbone there one time trying to clear the railroad tracks. There were like two jumps, dude, dirt to dirt, and I went right, and I'm fucking coming down, boom, boom, boom. I jumped on the my little BMX bike, and I cleared it like no issue. Like I can even raise up and shit. And when I came back down, I landed on my back tire. Whole motherfucking thing, just like the bike went flying, dude. I fell right on my fucking tailbone, dude. I remember I cried, dude. It hurt so bad. I thought my butthole like ripped open, dude. I'm not even lying right now. It was so fucking painful. That fucking sucked, dude. That was not fucking cool. Um, but that was like when I was like 16, and then I had to ride back home from First Ave. It was like fucking 3 miles away from my house, but riding on a one-speed bike fucking sucks, dude. Especially a BMX bike with a tiny ass sprocket, dude. You get just so winded. But anyways, we went through phases, and then we went to dirt biking. Like dirt biking was our ending phase that we were all doing together. We used to go riding together. I never been to Glamis. I've been to Ocotillo Wells. I went to Ocotillo Wells one time when it was fucking pouring, dog. It was just nothing but mud out there. I had the best time of my life. I swear to God, I had the best time of my life out there. I'll never forget that experience. We slept in a fucking toy hauler, but we didn't give a fuck, dude. We were covered in mud. We got to watch these fucking white boys talking all kinds of craziness, dude. And then we had this black dude with us, Jaquan. Fucking Jaquan, dude. I wonder what happened to Jaquan. Jaquan was a funny ass dude, man. He liked the older dudes that we used to hang out with. These two white boys. They played football and sports and basketball, all this shit. So they were always hanging out with like these college dudes. And Jaquan would come around. I remember that dude. So we took him dirt biking with us, and we had little 50s, and the 50s with the high bars and shit, like a 50cc motorcycle. Dirt bike is what I'm referring to. But they're typically for kids, but you can like bore them out and put in like a bigger spring and higher bars to make them for adults. And we used to fucking wreck those things, dude. We'd race each other, and it would be no rules. So you just start out, dude, and you try to fucking kick the front tire of the dude next to you or something, dude. We'd be hauling, come up, just fucking bump bars and try to just push the dude off. We're on 50s. The fastest we're going is like, I don't know, fucking 15 miles an hour or some shit like that. And but it was all fun. It was all in the mud. It was in the dirt. We didn't give a fuck, dude. It was amazing. That was my Ocotillo trip. I never been to Glamis. I've been to like a couple racetracks that were around here. I don't know if they're still around here, but dude, I'm gonna get back into dirt biking. Me and my other friend too. He was thinking the same thing, and we were having the same thought, dude. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get back into fucking dirt biking, man. That shit was hard as fuck, dude. And I want to get the girls into it. I know they'd love it, dude. They love riding their bikes. They love just being wild girls. But back to my girls. Something that came up over what was it, Easter. I took the girls out, and from mom's house for a few hours. We were gonna go ride scooters and skateboards and shit, right? So I'm getting my daughters, and my ex-wife had just purchased a like a cruiser skateboard, like kind of like a longboard if you want to call it that, but not very long. And for my oldest daughter to use, and it's a dope ass fucking skateboard, you know. So we borrowed it, and then she's like, "Oh, do you have helmets for them?" I'm like, "No." and she's like, you need to have helmets for them. And she, asked my oldest if she can go in and get the helmets. And I didn't take offense to it because it wasn't like I was purposely avoiding having them wear helmets. I have nothing against helmets, and she thinks I do apparently. And it was clear. So my oldest daughter returns with the helmets, right? We're getting ready to go, and she's like, "Make sure you guys wear them." And my oldest like kind of smirked, and she goes, "I'm not." My ex-wife tells her, "I'm not kidding. Your dad had a bad accident, and he knows what it's like to not wear a helmet. He could have been, out of the hospital really soon, but since he didn't have a helmet, he had to stay in there for 2 weeks and um, all that, And it's a real, like, usually that shit would bum me out, and I think she might know how it might trigger me, or if she doesn't, maybe she's just unaware. However, it just brought up old emotions of my accident that happened back in 2013. And the accident I'm referring to is I used to ride mountain bikes. I used to love fucking ride mountain bikes, dude, all the time, dude, all the time. And so I used to ride mountain bikes in Turnbull Canyon. Shit, probably like once a week, dude. And no, not even that. I do it more, like 2, 3 times, 4 times a week, as much as I could. And I used to love it. I knew all the trails. Like my favorite was the Rattlesnake Trail that I just always took. And so, excuse me. So this one, it was a Monday. I used to work for a retailer, and I was off like one random day during the week because I would work a weekend day, and I was off on a Sunday. I mean on a Monday, and so I take my daughter to. I only had one daughter at this time, so I take my daughter to daycare, and I go and I drop her off, and apparently I don't remember any of this. All I remember is taking my daughter to daycare. So apparently I had my bike with me in my truck, and so which was like a normal plan. I was probably planning on riding the bike, um, and so I take off and I drop my daughter off and I come to Turnbull Canyon, throw my headphones in, fucking grab some water, and just start cruising up. No helmet, nothing, right? So I cruise up, get to the second tower, and I'm chilling there. I used to like sit there and write sometimes, or just listen to music and smoke stoves. But it was like my peace and shit. I found a lot of peace and harmony in that. So I spent some time up there, and I came down, and I took the Rattlesnake Trail, which it takes you out to like Friends Avenue. Well, it used to. I don't know what's there. I know they did a bunch of like reconstruction there, but it used to take you out there. So this is what I don't remember, but this was recounted. I was coming down the trail, and I had a bitchin' giant, right? And it was like a giant Trans X1 or something like that. And it was a dope ass bike, like a $1,200 bike, And I rode that trail all the time. I knew it like the back of my hand, dude. And apparently, I dropped my front wheel off the side of the trail. And I like must have lost control, dipped my front wheel and went over the bars. And when I went over the bars, I fell off the side of the trail and went about like 20 feet down. Boom, 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 rolled apparently. And I was down in this little valley for about, oh man, I don't know, but this lady was walking up that trail, which is funny because I used to get so irritated that people would walk that trail because it was majority of cyclists that would come down, and it slows you down when you have people walking. But at this time, it was like, dude, right time, right place, dude. I must have, I don't know, but somebody was looking down on me that day, dude. So I rolled down the trail, knocked out, no helmet, right? And she saw me. So she's coming up the trail. She, makes her way down to me. And I'm moaning and groaning like, I'm fucking out of it, dude. I'm knocked out cold. And she takes the phone out of my pocket, and it was like an old iPhone at that time. I don't remember which one it was. And she calls home, and she called home and she left a voicemail for my parents saying, "Hi, my name," or I don't even know if she left her name. "Hi, I'm calling. I think your son has fallen on his bike. I'm gonna call 911, but we're over here on Friends Avenue in Uptown Whittier. I think he's seriously hurt." So my dad always kept that voicemail, and turns out she was a nurse, an RN, and she called for medical help. The paramedics got there, and I was not too far from the street, so they were able to walk up with the stretcher, and they pulled me up and laid me on the trail. They pulled my bike up, and it's funny because I had a fucking GoPro on my handlebars, and they pulled the bike up, right, and the way they positioned the bike, my camera was on me. So you see me laying there, and what's fucked up is I can't find this footage. I had it on a SD card somewhere, and I had a bunch of SD cards, but I've moved so much, I don't know where they've gone. But I'm gonna find it again. But anyways, they position the camera right on the handlebars, and or the camera that's on my handlebars. They position it. You see me laying there, and they're asking me questions. I'm fucking out of it, and I'm asking, "Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter?" And the paramedics are kind of freaking out because they're asking, "Well, was he here with someone? What the hell?" And she, thank God that that nurse was there, that RN, and she's like, "Dude, no, he was by himself. I only saw him. Nobody was following him. Nobody was before him." And you know, I don't remember riding the bike. I don't remember it. Um, I remember taking my daughter to daycare. At least when I came to, I had fucking thought that I was in a car accident, dude, and that I was in a car accident on the way to take my daughter. So I was freaking out because I couldn't figure out what happened. And they're cutting off all my clothes. I had my riding gear on. They fucking just tore right through that, dude. So I'm laying there, and the paramedics are asking me like, "Hey, you okay? You okay? Can you hear us? Can you move?" Couldn't fucking move my legs. No, and my head was fucking killing me. So boom, they jumped me into the ambulance. I don't really remember what much of the ambulance ride, but they took me to Long Beach, dude, and they took me to Long Beach Memorial, which is so ridiculous to think about because Long Beach is where I was born. And it's such an odd hospital because I lived in Whittier all my life. My parents have been in that area, nowhere near Long Beach, but I was the only kid born at a Long Beach Memorial, and that's where they took me. They didn't take me to Press, they didn't take me to any Kaisers, they just took me to Long Beach. And so I remember getting dropped off there, and they're rushing me through the ER, and the doctor's asking me if I can feel him moving my toes or tickling my feet. Couldn't feel shit. Could not feel shit. If he can move my heels, couldn't move. Nothing, dude. I couldn't fucking move any of that. And I'm laying there like still kind of out of it and really concussed, and they're wheeling me in the back, and they hook me up to everything, and they want to get the MRI on my head because I wasn't wearing a helmet, and so they stabilized me. They gave me probably some shit, some medicine, morphine or something, and they took me for the MRI, and I had brain no brain brain bleeding, internal brain bleeding, and it was scary. It was real scary. I had a daughter at that time. I was not married at that time, but this was like right before I got engaged. Um, so I I remember the doctors were really worried about my if I had spinal injury, and because I have a scoliosis, but not where like you hunch. It's more of like my back is like an S almost. My spine. It's fucking horrible, dude. Like if you look at my shoulder blades when my shirt is off, you can see like one's in, one's out. If you look at like my shoulders, I'm not a strong person by any means, but just like sitting normal, this you can't really tell on camera, but this shoulder, um, my right shoulder is a lot smaller and shorter than my left shoulder, and it's the oddest fucking thing in the world. But I had another bike accident when I was like 17 that really messed up my back. But anyways, 2013, I really fucked up my back, and I had a hemorrhaging disc, and and with the scoliosis, it really just kind of affected my back. Like it repositioned it, and it's just been uncomfortable ever since. But I noticed since I lost a lot of weight from not drinking, I have very much less, very few incidents with my back harming me or hurting me at all, which is great, dude. But back to 2013, so I'm sitting in the hospital, dude, and I can't get it out of my head like how stupid I was that I rode my bike without a helmet. And I remember being in my last relationship, which by any means was not the best, obviously because we got divorced. However, we were married, and I remember. So from that injury, right, the injury, I'm in the hospital for 2 weeks. The brain bleeding, it goes away. Um, they gave me. I got feeling back in my feet. It was like that night, that Monday night, I started being able to move my toes, and it was like a sensation impact to my spine that caused like my nerves to basically like shut off from the waist down. It was like almost like a quick panic, and the way my doctor, he said it was your body readjusting itself, and it was like if you unplugged it, plugged it back in, and the TV is turning back on. That's what your body's doing right now, which was amazing because we were getting very fearful that it was that I was going to be paralyzed, and I'm obviously very grateful that that didn't happen. Um, so fast forward to a few years after that, I remember my ex-wife. Um, we had a huge argument, and we were never able to really work things through. Um, I have a problem where I never understood the coming together of things. I've seen the separation, I've seen the arguments, I've seen the disconnections, but I never seen it come back together. Uh, Meaning, like when things were done in my parents' household, my dad got mad at me. He wouldn't talk to me about like why he was mad, or the thing he might have done when he was mad, like scream at me or threaten me or hit me, and we wouldn't be able to come back and like talk after it and work through it. Um, the same thing with my ex-wife. We were never able to do that. We would argue and fight, and very deep and personal things would come up that we were too fearful of facing, and it would fucking impact us, dude. So one thing that came up, and she really had resentment towards me for, was not wearing a helmet that day, and having that accident. She hated the pressure that it put on her to, as a mother, to carry the load, um, and she really resented me for that. And I don't think it was anything that we ever got through. I mean, obviously, it's nothing we ever got through because we're not together. We're divorced. I'm like 4 years past my divorce now, but um, it's interesting, and it makes me think now. Now, what do I do with that information, that memory that I just brought back of the resentment that it brought from my ex-wife? Um, what I'm trying to do with it is one, understand that her resentment is her resentment, it's not mine. um, if she resents me for anything, that's something that she has to bed with, and not me. I don't have to carry her resentments. We're no longer together, and we have no responsibility to each other, and that's how we've decided to live our lives. And so that's the first thing I had to do. Is that's hers. That's her resentment. That has nothing to do with me. So now I try to use it as a ploy to be able to show my children the value of safety in not such a um, dark and hurtful way. And one thing I do with my daughters is show them that they do need to wear that protective gear. It's not like you want your brain splattered out everywhere. Like, the only reason daddy's still here is because his head did not open. If his head opened, it would have been game over. If he was paralyzed, it would have been game over. What kind of life would that have been? Um, and I did make those mistakes, but I don't carry the resentment anymore. I used to carry it with me when I was in the relationship. Now, I don't carry that shit with me. I let it go. I made that mistake. But what's great is I can be here to tell my daughters, nah, you don't need to go down that route. I've been there. Let's go this way. you know, let's put our helmet on. Let's be a little safer out there. Um, and they're speed demons. Gab's a little speed demon. Audrey too, man. She likes to just jump on her scooter and fucking go. And I'm down with it. And so I slap some helmets on them. Make sure they take care of themselves. I always tell them to put knee pads on too. I don't want their knees to get all fucked up, man. Those women, those girls, they got pretty legs, long legs, man. They gotta take care of them. Audrey's always all bruised up and shit, but yeah, man, she likes being outdoors. Like, what am I gonna do? Keep her locked up, make sure she doesn't get any bruises. Fuck all that, man. But that was one thing I wanted to take from that story. Is whatever happens in your life, people are gonna resent you for it. Even some of the people that are close to you. Now, you have an option of either picking up that resentment and also holding it, or just letting those people carry that with them. Now, if those people are close to you, like a family member that you can't just really disconnect from, like a partner, then you need to accept it. You need to accept that person has that issue, and that issue is not yours, nor does it concern you in any way. You need to forgive yourself for whatever that issue was or whatever it caused, and move forward. If that person has resentment towards you and decides to act on their resentment, then that's a mistake that those people are going to have to make and live with. But that's not yours. Whatever mistakes you've made in your past, don't let other people's resentment or your fear of other people's resentment be a reason for you not to continue. Let that shit go. Let it go. It's not going to help you at all. What do you guys think? Look at, I have a 6-foot wingspan, and I'm only 5'7", 5'8". Sometimes I lie to people, but 6-foot wingspan, that's pretty cool, man. I don't know if that's true though. I should look that up on the internet. Like, if you have to have the same wingspan as your height, and if you don't, you're like off and shit. But then I have like JB, 6'4", and we wear the same size length in pants and shit. That motherfucker's all torso. He's got like 50 some ribs and shit. Oh, motherfucker's all rib cage, dog. Damn, you can make a barbecue for like 50 people off that dude, man. Feed everybody with all them ribs.
We wear the same length in pants, dog. Size 30. Damn. That's funny. Oh man, that's a good one. I'm gonna leave on that note right there. Thank you for everyone that's been listening. Super pumped to do this, and yeah, I hope you get to tune in for the next one, motherfucker. And hopefully, I have a guest on this. Biatch. Later.